What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fight Bros MMA show number 32. I got Ethan Barker co-hosting with me today. Looking forward to this one. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Let's get started out. This was kind of a surprising fight night. I'm actually glad I gave this one a watch because I haven't been watching the fight nights lately. They just haven't been good. But Overeem versus Saki. We'll start out with that third fight on the main card, Michel Pereira. Did you get a chance to watch his fight?
I saw highlights. He was so dominant. He was just slapping him and kind of playing with him, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I saw that.
He is just so entertaining to watch. Just his fight style. For that welterweight division, he's huge. He's so tall and lanky. But I mean, you just like I think I was looking at Angela Hill. She's fighting this weekend. I was looking at her Twitter and she was like, Michel Pereira is literally like a real life UFC EA fighter. Like your created fighter in EA, just throwing flying knees and slap, open hands, roundhouse kicks, just literally pressing all the buttons you can just to do something. He's really exciting, and there was kind of a story behind those open hand slaps that he was giving that guy during the weigh-ins. That guy actually pushed him in the face when they were staring each other down. So he said that's why he did that. But the thing about him is you never know what you're going to get. Is he going to be an entertainer or is he going to be a fighter and actually try to win the fight? So, saying that, do you think he's most likely going to get a top 15 welterweight next? Do you think he is going to be, I guess, prosperous
I
with
think
that
so.
top 15?
He's obviously very talented, physically imposing, dominant for this past fight. So he should be great. I don't know if he'll be champion, obviously, but because that top of that division is so strong and so deep. But I have no problem thinking he's a top 15.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up. I was looking up the welterweight rankings right now.
Yeah, who is 15?
Let's see.
Slow internet.
Yeah, good old internet. So just right off the top of my head, he already fought Diego Sanchez, so that's kind of like right at the top 20. That's top 25.
Wait,
okay,
is this the guy that got DQ'd because of an illegal knee?
To Diego Sanchez, yep.
Okay, so I have seen him fight.
All right, here we go.
He was dominant.
All right.
In that.
He might not actually get a top 15 next. At 15, we have Robbie Lawler. 14, Anthony Pettis. Pettis he's going to be looking for some other stuff. Nate Diaz, 13, definitely not getting that.
Neil Magny's no higher than that?
Yeah, Neil Magny at 11. Vicente Luque is trying to get top 5. He's trying to break in there.
Yeah. I mean, the top of the division is so deep.
Yeah.
With Usman and Burns and...
Maybe he's not getting a top 15.
And Colby and all these guys. It's so deep. But yeah, put him in there with Lawler. Why not?
Yeah.
Lawler's kind of on the slide.
Mike Perry's right outside of that top 15.
I don't need to watch Mike Perry like that.
But, yeah, I mean, excited to see what will be next for Michel Pereira. But let's go to the co-main event. A little throwback right here, man. OSP KO'd top prospect Alonzo Mainfield. That was very surprising. I just didn't expect. I felt like OSP has been a gatekeeper. Since I know he's had a title shot against John Jones and stuff, but I felt like he's been a gatekeeper these last couple of years. And
yeah, he's a guy. I remember whenever he first started. I mean, he almost looked like a young John Jones, just how physically big he is and strong and athletic, and it never worked out for him. So the potential's always in there.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised because it's in there. It's just I guess he maybe something hadn't clicked but maybe he's figured something out.
Yeah, I mean, he was just so precise and controlled in this fight. I mean, Mayfield, he had the power, the explosion. Like the announcers were talking about, if Mayfield, if he can't knock you out in that first or second round, then it's tough. But OSP, he just kind of was playing at his pace and ended up working. He got that counter punch. I believe he got him with like a right overhand. From a counter punch position. So.
Patience is an underrated trait for a fighter. The first time I saw Israel fight, that was the one thing that stuck out to me. Of course, it was dominant and he cut the promo and all that. But in the finishing sequence of that, he showed so much patience. It wasn't just, I heard him, let's, flail and get him. It's, I'm picking my shots, making them count. So, I personally think patience is a very underrated and overlooked aspect for a fighter. And I guess that's just maturity. But
that is true. And that seems like a trait that comes to a lot of these veterans that are being successful later in their career. And speaking of what you just said, and veterans, being successful in their career, kind of having that patience and stuff, Alistair Overeem, man, what a comeback from him. I mean, he was down probably 2, maybe even 3 rounds to none. Those first couple of rounds were close, and they were giving them the sake in that live feed, a lot of top analysts. And, he started taking him down, the very unconventional takedowns, as Daniel Cormier was talking about while he was commentating it. He said, that's not what you learn. That's not technical or anything. He was like, he just found a way to get him down and got it. But, I mean, that's what he kept doing, and I'm glad he kept going to that because Saki was bringing the pressure and stuff. And that was a tough one. Very veteran win, veteran-minded for Overeem right here, and he is claiming that he has one last title run in him. He was K1 Grand Prix champion, Strikeforce champion.
He was a UFC heavyweight champion.
No, that's the only one he hasn't got.
No, he beat Brock Lesnar.
Lesnar wasn't the champion.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Overeem's debut in the UFC was against Lesnar.
The knees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's one he hasn't gotten. And he, do you think that he has one last title run in him? I mean, his next fight is going to put him in a position to get a title shot, whether it's against, now what's the guy's name? That I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. The guy that Francis Ngannou just recently knocked out. Like, he's, Rosenstruck.
Oh, Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
So Rosenstruck just won.
Yeah, he just won. So,
yeah, that'd be great. I mean, Overeem, he's always been at the top in that division. It's so shallow. I mean, there's really 3 or 4 guys, right?
Yeah.
And he's always there. If he does sell out and use his patience and is a veteran and his maturity to beat these guys, but there is Ngannou is just such. Ngannou's even though Ngannou has some age on him because he got to the game late.
Oh yeah.
He's just physically.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone, especially if he it seems like he's put it all together now.
Yeah. Oh, he has. I think he's got it. Got everything down now. He's all around. His all around fight game is just good now.
Especially Stipe's close to stepping away.
Yeah.
I mean, Overeem might be top 3 if Stipe wasn't there.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, so Overeem and Rosenstruck already fought each other. Overeem was winning that fight for 24 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's what Overeem said. He said, I guess that has to be next because on paper he beat me and that's going to be my route to the title. But he was like, it kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to fight him again because I dominated him that whole fight. And, I mean, that kind of was a questionable stoppage because when Overeem got hit with that shot, he flew back into the fence, but he was never out. And then he put his hands down to get right back up.
Yeah.
So, that kind of sucks. I'm not saying it was very controversial because that was
an all-time picture, though, of that lip being split open.
That kind of hurt him, too. Maybe if his lip didn't get split open, it would have went different. But another fight he is looking at, and Derek Lewis was tweeting the whole time, just dissing Overeem the whole fight. But he's looking at that. But Derek Lewis is fighting Overeem's teammate now, Curtis Blades. And
Blades is a guy. That's another younger guy that's great that he'll have to get through. Avoiding other teammates.
They're teammates now, and Overeem said that he's not going to fight him. They're not going to fight each other, so that's going to be tough. Would your teammate be willing? Like if you beat Rosen, because honestly, if you beat Rosenstruck and Stipe and Ngannou already happened, the winner of that could, like, the way I see it is Stipe and Ngannou is going to happen. Let's say Rosenstruck and Overeem happen, and then we have Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades. Out of those two fights, one of them will get the winner of one of those. I believe will get the next shot at the winner of Stipe and Francis.
And we haven't even mentioned John Jones.
Yeah,
I just thought about that.
Yeah,
and he's definitely going to jump the line to fight the winner of Ngannou Stipe if that happens.
Yeah,
if he doesn't skip that fight.
Oh, they can't. I hope they don't skip that. Ngannou, he deserves.
I mean, but
deserves.
I don't know. Stipe dominated him so much in the first fight, even though he's come so far. I don't know. And money talks.
Yeah, that one's going to be a fun one to watch. I believe Stipe's going to take some rest, though. He did take a little bit of damage in that fight with Cormier, so I believe and his best bet, maybe take some rest, maybe look at April or May, next summer return for him fighting Ngannou, which that's kind of sucky if he does that because he has been for the last 3 years he did one fight a year.
Yeah,
and
if you're the champ, and you don't need the money.
But moving on, probably maybe the biggest topic of our podcast today, and the biggest topic around the MMA world. Nick Diaz, he's supposedly back once again. I mean, there's been rumors in the past, but this time it's kind of looking a little bit more legit. First posted by Ariel Helwani, per Nick Diaz's manager. Nick Diaz completed a 14-week test cut, did all that dieting, nutrition, training, and his manager said he is ready to go. He's going to be paying attention to that welterweight division and looking to fight at the beginning of 2021. And have you seen that picture?
That looked good.
Yeah.
He looked good.
He looked like Nick Diaz, like back in the day in Strikeforce and stuff. Like, people were saying, like, I thought that was an old photo. Yeah. And they said he's 175. His manager said he was between 175 and 165 at the time of that photo. They're not releasing the exact weight, but that's good because, I mean, and there's so many options. I was thinking about it, and I was like, so much stuff would make sense. It's just crazy.
Yeah. He looks great. He does, but he is aged. He used to fight Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva was in his prime.
GSP.
And also just with this game, which with the later topic we'll see with the Poirier and Ferguson, the UFC has to make the money right.
Yeah.
They have to have a right opponent who's willing to fight him. Nick has to follow through. So as much as I want it to happen, I'm just not going to believe it happens until they're weighing on Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest.
This is like the most believable that it's got me pulled in. Like, I believed it when Woodley was still champion, and then there was like, Nick's coming back to fight him. Woodley needs somebody to fight. All these people turned him down. I believed it then, but I don't know. It is tough because with Nick, we've been hearing he hasn't. Let's put this in perspective too. He hasn't won a fight since 2011.
Yeah, and that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, and I believe his last fight was in 2014, 2013, a disqualification against Anderson Silva.
Yeah,
which he lost by decision. Before that disqualification. But so, I guess we'll see how this goes, but let's talk about a particular opponent. I mean, so much makes sense. You got the Lawler fight. You can go Colby versus Woodley. That would make sense. Him and Woodley kind of had a little history a couple of years ago. You can go Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy needs a fight.
I don't need Wonder Boy.
I mean,
not for Nick.
Yeah,
I mean, Wonder Boy, not for Nick. I need somebody who's will step forward and they meet in the middle. And I mean, Wonder Boy is extremely talented, very skilled. He's a technician, but just that style is it doesn't work.
That is true.
It's not entertaining.
And then you have arguably the most avoided fight in the division. Leon Edwards can't get a fight right now.
Can't get a fight.
You have Conor McGregor. McGregor tweeted the other day, about the Nick Diaz return. I forgot what he said, but he's kind of dissing him and Nate. So he kind of didn't like that. I think he wanted to get his name in there too. Maybe he's not even really interested.
That makes more sense than Nate does, because Nate's bigger, right?
So yeah,
Nate's really too big for Conor.
Yeah.
Even though Conor's beat him, and the trilogy's out there, but
yeah,
Nick and Conor makes more sense.
Yeah.
For size wise.
And then you got Masvidal. That
I think Masvidal's above that myself.
I don't know, like the story. I mean,
the story would be great.
We're thinking Nick Diaz, so I'm thinking, okay, is Nick going to be in this for the long term? Because if he is, if not the long term, but is he going to be committing like 3 more years to this?
Yeah.
Then we can give him a warm up fight.
Yeah.
Like let's say we could say, okay, here's Robbie Lawler, here's Mike Perry, here's still a top fighter, but we're giving you kind of a warm up. Or let's say, but what I'm thinking is he might fight 1 time, maybe 2 times the rest of his career. It's just for money. He's just doing money fights like Nate. So it's going to have to be something big. It's going to have to be, Masvidal. It's going to have to be McGregor. It's going to have to be possibly Colby Covington talking it up.
That's interesting.
I'm not saying the winner. And see, the sucky thing is, like, I like the Woodley-Nick Diaz matchup, but I don't know how it's going to sell.
Hey, is Nate bigger than Nick? Because Nate fought at 55, right?
Yeah, Nick's bigger.
Yeah,
Nick's,
I got that backwards.
Nick's fought at 185 against Anderson Silva.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick is bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Nate's a 55er, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Nick's probably more. Nick's got more of like definition and cut.
Yeah.
So,
is he taller? Has to be.
I think, yeah. But yeah, I mean, very similar styles between the two brothers.
So Nick is bigger.
Yeah, he is.
I got that backwards.
Very similar styles. I was showing Mary the other day, and she was like, they fight the same. Like, she was like, there's no difference. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of flipping off. There's a lot of open palm slaps. Yeah.
Just fun.
And just a lot of boxing. But
it's prize fighting.
Yeah. So which of these that we've discussed, or you can add one in, that Anderson Silva fight, I forgot to put that on there. That's being discussed as well as a rumored fight for him, that rematch with Anderson Silva. Which, what do you kind of think? Just pick one out of these that you think either you want or you think's gonna happen.
That I want?
Or do both. Just say one you want and the one that's gonna happen.
I mean, the one I'd want would be either McGregor or maybe the winner of Woodley Colby.
Yeah.
Because the loser of that, even though they're still the elite guys, might be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Woodley on the slide.
Oh,
Colby, even though he's probably a top 2, top 3, he's just so hard to deal with for the UFC. They probably just send him packing anyway.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but I agree with you. If it's known that if Colby has said he wants to retire Woodley, he literally has a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He can literally put Tyron Woodley out on a 3-fight losing streak. He has the chance. He has the chance to either get Tyron Woodley cut by the UFC.
I mean, a 15-round losing
because
streak.
I don't really see, if Woodley loses, I don't see any fights making sense after this. So yeah, and Woodley knows. He's said it in his like Instagram lives and stuff that I've watched in little videos. He said it. He knows his back's against the wall. He knows what he's got to do. But yeah, we'll get into that later. But so I agree with you though. That was going to be mine.
Mm-hmm.
I say there's 2 fights that I'm kind of wanting to happen. I think the winner of Woodley versus Colby would make a lot of sense. And then I hate this because Nate Diaz is my favorite fighter, and they're talking about him and Masvidal. The contracts have already been sent and stuff. But I think Nick versus Masvidal just makes so much sense. But
I think Nick and Lawler could make sense.
Yeah.
It's like a real throwback. Maybe be a real nice fight night.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't make that pay-per-view, probably. Well, maybe if it's the return of Nick, you might be able to.
Yeah.
And then they're both guys with a lot of wear on them, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's the thing. It's like where Nate's my favorite fighter, I'm like, okay, I want little brother to kind of go back and handle his business and not have big brother take up for him. But I don't know, that storyline like, oh, big brother coming up to take up for little brother, that do you remember the podcast or interview that Nick did with Ariel the day after the Nate Diaz fight with Masvidal. I mean, he was so mad, and he acted like he was coming back to fight Masvidal because he was like, I don't like how Masvidal said he wanted to baptize my little brother. You know, he was like sitting there cage side watching my little brother get kicked in the head. That's not fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I like that fight, but I want to see Nate fight again. So, and Nate and Connor, I don't know why that third fight hasn't happened, but it's not looking like it's going to happen anytime soon. So I'll take Nate Diaz, Masvidal too, but I kind of want that Nick fight deep down with Masvidal.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, another thing to add on Nick is this was Jake Shields actually came out and said this yesterday. He said that Nick, the coronavirus kind of motivated Nick to stop partying and stop drinking. He said Nick was going down like a real bad path of drinking and partying. And I mean, if you follow Nick on Instagram, you could kind of tell it was like an everyday thing.
Yeah.
You know, so you really didn't see him training a lot. I mean, you would see him like doing some triathlons and stuff every now and then, but really like getting into that partying. But Jake Shields said that he's been really motivated to get back into it, and he's been training, doing nothing but training the last couple of months, which we could tell with that picture.
Yeah,
so,
he looked great.
I guess we'll see how that goes moving forward. But yeah, Nick Diaz possibly could be back 2021.
This next one broke my heart.
Huh?
This next one broke my heart.
Yeah, man.
I'm a big Dustin Poirier fan. And I mean, Tony's up there with the best too. So I wanted that to happen, which I guess as soon as it started, it was over. But man, and there was like a quote the day before maybe that where Poirier said, you know, we have agreed to fight. It's just the UFC has to make the compensation right. And I knew that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. So what Ethan's talking about right here is Dustin Poirier versus Tony Ferguson was supposed to be on a stacked card with that Khabib and Justin Gaethje fight on Fight Island. It looked like everything was in place to happen. You know, there was verbal agreements. Ariel was tweeting it. ESPN MMA was tweeting that the fight was, you know, verbally agreed. So we got all our hopes up. Dustin Poirier came out yesterday, said the fight is not happening on October 26th. He said it still could happen later on, but they couldn't come to terms with an agreement. So, you know, he said that he's out of it. And and he said it's strictly money. That's why this didn't happen. He's not being compensated well. Let's look at this. So his last war that he had with Paul Felder, he made $150,000 to show and $150,000 to win, which he got. So, you know, $300,000 right there. But Poirier, I feel like he's worth a little bit more than that $300,000. I mean, that's a lot of money for us. But I feel like, man, he's a big name, and there's a lot of respect that comes with his name. And that war he put on with Paul Felder, I mean, like, there could have been some like brain damage shots in there. I mean, they literally like that was an all-out brawl.
For what these guys do, and considering once taxes come out and they pay management and they take care of their body and, you know, all those types of things happen, they just generally don't get paid enough as it is. But that's just where the sport is right now. You know, I guess Bellator typically does pay them more and they get to do the sponsorships, but the product over there isn't as good.
I
mean, I guess $300,000 if you fought 3 times a year, or 3.5 average or something. You know, you're grossing over $1 million. After endorsements and stuff, but it's still what we like to think as professional athletes, especially the wear and tear on these guys' bodies. It's not enough.
And Ben Askren kind of threw some shade at Dustin Poirier because of this decision. He said he was making a big mistake pretty much. He was like, he should have took that. He was like, sometimes you have to go with your gut rather than money. I agree with that. I actually agree with that to the fullest, kind of, because Dustin wants another, you know, he's wanting another title shot. Let's not forget, he kind of acted like he was going to retire after he lost to Khabib.
Yeah.
And then he, you know, made this comeback and stuff, but he's wanting a title shot. I do think there's going to be a lot of questions when Tony Ferguson comes back. I mean, he took a beating against Gaethje. He did look very thin against Gaethje. He said he was going to take some time to put on muscle mass, but you know, with his age, I don't know how much he could put on. But he looked like a very small lightweight against Gaethje, and those shots were hard.
Remember, he did 2 weight cuts because he was supposed to fight a few weeks before. Did the weight cut, and even though it got canceled, he still did the weight cut.
Yeah.
I mean, those weight cuts aren't easy on these guys. So
Gaethje just looked so much thicker and more powerful.
Well, I mean, Gaethje's peaking right now.
Yeah.
He's on a run. I mean, Tony is just still an elite guy.
Yeah. I like Tony Ferguson. I want to see him do good, but I do think for Dustin, if you want to, like the winner of the fight between Dustin and Tony, ideally, McGregor's retired right now. Yeah. So let's just say he's not back in the mix. If Khabib wins, then the winner of Dustin and Tony would get the next title shot. Unless he did the GSP fight or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but if Justin wins, you're kind of getting, Connor can come back in because that's a better stylistic matchup for Connor than Khabib is. So, you know.
Now, GSP's been more active on Instagram, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It might happen. I
think he wants it. He turned it down like last week saying, I'm 39 and that cut to 155, but he did
has
it.
Colitis.
Yeah.
Well, he almost didn't make it to that Bisping fight because of the colitis.
Okay.
Yeah, he barely made it to that.
Yeah. And what is colitis again?
It's like colon colitis.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a digestive system issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I remember that now. Yeah, I remember that happened to him because he vacated the title the next day or the day after.
Yeah.
Just because, and he said it was because of that. So yeah. But yeah, you know, it's just tough because this would kind of be his big fight to get that title shot again, and you know, be champ. Well, he was already champion at 145.
Oh, he
right?
would be 70, 85, and then this would be dropping down to 55.
Okay.
Yeah, because he fought at 70 and then went up to Bisping at 85.
Okay.
And this was him going down to 55, which is, given his age, would be difficult. But
yeah,
he's probably GOAT, so if he's not one, he's two. So.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about the Khabib fight with him is like if GSP could come back at 39 years old, make 155, and beat Khabib, you're like the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Yeah. There's no more John Jones or Anderson Silva.
Khabib might be the GOAT.
Yeah, like even if Khabib beats him, you're kind of. I feel like people are gonna be like, yeah.
I mean, if Khabib beats him, Khabib's gone.
Yeah.
He has enough money. He's going back to Russia and being a celebrity for the rest of his life and taking it easy.
That's kind of I don't see why they couldn't just do it if it was Khabib's title fight. Like they could just. I'm not saying necessarily make like a BMF title and call it like the GOAT title or anything because I think that'd be too much. But why don't they just do a 165 and then just advertise it like this is the GOAT? But no title.
You couldn't have a GOAT fight without John Jones.
Yeah. But I guess you would need the title because GSP, that would cement his legacy too as being a 3-division champion. Yep. Yeah. So, but yeah, I know that's definitely an option down the road, and I think GSP deep down is still interested in that. Just Khabib's got to get by Justin first, and that's going to be a tough task.
But this, back on topic, the Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, this is still why whenever there are big fights, I try not to get excited until they are weighing in.
Yeah, that is true.
There's just so much that can happen. Money contract issues, injuries, missing weight, coronavirus. I mean, there's so many things that can happen.
Yeah.
And really, sometimes it's even when they lock the cage, for them to fight.
So I guess we'll move on to this next topic right here. I found this one kind of interesting. That's why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But John Dodson announced on Instagram he's moving back down to flyweight to make one last run at the title. He let's remember right here, he just has 2 losses in that flyweight division to Demetrius Johnson, arguably one of those GOATs we was just talking about, and he has a TKO victory over former bantamweight champion, former title challenger at flyweight against Cejudo, TJ Dillashaw. So, I mean, it could happen. It's kind of that Overeem thing. It's kind of like,
age, and then, I mean, Figueiredo. I don't know anyone who's going to be able to challenge him in that division.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to see.
I'm surprised
that they gave it to Cody.
Yeah, well, because there's no one there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't think that division.
Oh, in the UFC game, it's terrible, man.
I mean, that division just isn't going to be around.
I think there's 5 or 6 fighters that you can use in that division. And I'm like, this is terrible.
Well,
yeah.
When Cejudo won that belt, Dana told him they were getting rid of that division.
Yeah.
And that's what created Triple C and the King of Cringe, because he knew he had to do something to keep it, and now that Cejudo's retired. I mean, Figueiredo's not going to be doing that stuff. So unless Cody somehow wins that, which that's a tough fight, and I'm the biggest Cody fan.
Yeah.
That thing's not going to be around.
Yeah. I agree with you. Because, like, when I started, I was doing some online matchups the other day on UFC 4, and I was like, there's 6 guys to pick in this division. Why? I don't even know why I'm fighting in this division right now. It was...
I mean, they didn't... Yeah. They have to bring people down to it. It's just such a small person to be 135.
Yeah. But, I mean, John Dotson...
Or is that 125? That's 125.
That's 125, yeah.
135 is bantamweight.
Yeah. So that's your TJ Dillashaw, your Cody's, Sean O'Malley's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because he hasn't looked too good at bantamweight. But when I've watched him, he's so small compared to those guys because he's short and real muscular. And, those guys, like, you got O'Malley, like, O'Malley looks like he should be at 155.
Yeah. Well, that's what these guys do. They get down as small as they can get for the size advantage.
Yeah.
But then, that also has to hamper their performance at some point.
Yeah, speaking of that, do you know what Paulo Costa is walking around at right now?
220? I don't know.
Yeah.
Really?
215 to 220. 2 weeks out from the fight. He came out and said that yesterday.
So he has to lose 50 pounds in 2 weeks?
And he is number 1 on the list of, so I guess fight day they do weigh-ins just to kind of record it, but they don't have no penalty or nothing. Some places do. Now some places,
if you weigh so much more the day after, they restrict you from fighting in that weight class, right?
Yeah, but he weighed on fight night. It was like 215 or 215 to 218.
How does he do that?
I don't know. And and you're looking at Romero being like a big thick guy at that division. He was only 206 on fight night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was like, wow.
I mean, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah. So he's gonna be. It's I don't know. He's gonna look huge out there against Adesanya, where Adesanya's already kind of skinny in stature.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
well, remember, let's not forget he did get in trouble for the IVs that one time. Remember, somebody called him. He had a picture, and it was kind of dumb. Like in the picture, he had an IV in his arm. Huh?
They should be able to do that anyway.
Yeah, they should.
But it is breaking the rules.
Yeah. But moving on. What was you gonna say?
Why would you not want them to be able to rehydrate themselves?
Yeah.
But I guess you could say, like, the only reason it makes sense to me is, if you give them that tool, then that may encourage them to cut more.
Oh, yeah.
In an unhealthy way. But
it's tough. The weight cutting is gonna be one of those things that never get.
That's just part of the game.
Yeah. But moving on to tomorrow night's fights, we're not gonna really do any predictions because I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was a good card to predict. But when looking at this, it looks like a decent card, for hardcore fans. If you're, you got Kamara Worthy. I've watched him fight a couple of times. I can't remember who he beat. Did he beat Brock Weaver or something?
Yeah, I think so.
He's looked good. Roxanne, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but she's looked good. Bobby Green, he's not really a prospect, but he's been looking good. He's, who Bobby Green is?
No.
Let me see.
Now, Brock Weaver, that's the native guy.
That's
right?
the native guy. Yeah, he
I
wears
like
that
him.
headset. Yeah, he's cool, man.
Like
He's got to win some fights though.
He he's had some tough luck. Well, he's fought twice, right? The first one, he got hit with an illegal knee.
Yeah.
So he won by disqualification. And then he lost his last one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a tough go, but that's a guy that if he can get going, he has a gimmick. You know?
Yeah, and I like Brock Weaver. He's definitely one of my favorites. And then let's talk about Roosevelt Roberts. Have you watched him fight?
Mm-mm.
He's good, man.
I like his name.
He beat Brock Weaver. He beat Brock Weaver. He's very lengthy. Daniel Cormier gives him a lot of praise in a lot of his fights. He's good.
High praise.
Yeah, and that's these. Let's see. Kamara Worthy, 155. Bobby Green, 155. Roberts, 155. Brock Weaver, 155.
Yeah, that 155 to 170.
Yeah.
Those divisions are so deep just because that's like where the average adult male should be.
Yeah.
Although the main event is Angela Hill and Michelle Waters.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that.
That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, and that's actually getting a little. I definitely think that's going to be a good fight because Angela Hill, she
fights like every other week.
Yeah, she's been taking all kinds of fights and it's crazy because I watched her when we went to UFC Norfolk, and I was sitting there like, dang, her fight is it's just really boring. But this was earlier in her career. I mean, that was probably 4 years ago when I went and watched her at UFC Norfolk, and she's just been down to fight literally every weekend. She's the definition of anytime, anywhere. And this is definitely going to put her where she needs to be positioned in and so that's definitely interesting. I'm going to give these fights a watch tomorrow. I haven't been too appealed with the recent fight nights they've been putting on, but this is a good one. Definitely if you're a hardcore young up-and-comers coming.
You see some of the future talent.
Yeah. And I wanted to get your take on this. So we're not going to do predictions for the whole card, but we got Tyrone Woodley and Colby Covington. They're headlining the fight night coming up. The full card just got announced today. This is probably the most stacked fight night we've had in a long time. May as well be. It might be the best fight night we've ever had on paper. So we got Woodley versus Colby main event, co-main event. Cowboy versus Nico Price. Tough one for Cowboy.
Nico Price,
yeah.
But I mean, the Cowboy though, he just wins unless it's the top tier.
And I meant to look up this guy's name. But he has been fighting anytime, anywhere.
Is this the guy that they already have booked for somebody else?
They already have him booked against Damian
which is the most disrespectful thing ever.
Yeah.
But
so what's his name?
Take the money.
Shimev or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I meant to look up how to pronounce his name before this because he has been very entertaining to watch. And but yeah, disrespecting that guy he's facing. I don't know how to pronounce his name either. Merzart. Yeah, Merzart. And he's kind of a veteran.
It's a name that's been around. Yeah, it's weird. You would think it'd be like, hey, this fight is for the winner, but just no. We just go ahead and book this guy for it, which is the craziest thing ever.
And then two young prospects in Holland and Stewart. And I skipped over Mackenzie Dern versus Marcos. Mackenzie Dern's an up-and-comer. Yep, fan favorite. And then you got Johnny Walker coming back. I forgot this guy's name, but Spann. So, I mean, this is a really good fight night. I've been looking at Google, and I've been like, okay, what other fights do we have on this card except Woodley versus Colby? And they literally just announced them all today, and it's great. But I kind of want to get your take on it, on just this main event right here. Woodley versus Colby. This is a genuine bad blood.
Yeah.
And I like this. I was listening to Chael Sonnen's podcast this week. Well, he just does like a podcast with just himself. He doesn't really get guests on or anything.
Yeah.
I don't really know what you would call it. But he said that he was talking to Kamaru Usman about who do you think's going to win this fight. And it's different. He was like, Kamaru literally said he doesn't know who to pick. He said Kamaru literally picked Tyron Woodley just recently, and he said it changes every day, but he said he picked Tyron Woodley because of an Instagram video that Tyron Woodley posted. But Chael was like, okay, he was like, I don't really know who to pick either, because if you look at it, you're like, oh, MMA math, Tyron Woodley got dominated by Gilbert Burns' Kamaru Usman's teammate. He got dominated by Kamaru Usman. Colby Covington arguably would have won that fight if he wouldn't have got TKO'd. But we have to look at it as that was two different fights. Tyron Woodley versus Usman was a wrestling match. Usman and Covington, their main skill is their wrestling. Wouldn't wrestle each other. It was so. I mean, that's kind of what we're gonna get.
It just depends, and we're gonna know a minute into the fight.
Yeah, we are.
What Woodley is here? If it's the Woodley that was dominant and could have been the greatest welterweight of all time, maybe. Until that night he came out against Usman, and he hasn't won a round since.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, you don't know until you see him in there.
I agree with your statement 100%. Mary has been watching the last two Woodley fights with me, and I told her, I said, he is one of my favorite fighters, like probably my second favorite fighter. And I'm like, I hate it when I see quit in people's eyes, and I seen quit in his eyes in that first round in both fights, and I was like, no.
He just doesn't...
And he would come back to his corner, and you just seen it in his eyes. He didn't want to be there, and he admitted that. He said I trained, I did everything I was supposed to do, and then I get in there, and
he's going through the motions.
Yeah, and
which I mean, physically, him going through the motions is better than 98% of the world.
Oh yeah.
So, it's just.
But if any fight gets you ready to where you want to be in there, I mean.
Yeah.
This,
the character that is Colby Covington.
Yeah, they literally hate each other. This is genuine beef. And if you've been keeping up with Colby Covington, he's been quiet.
Yeah,
which
might be a problem for Woodley.
Yeah,
if he's focused and is in there just grinding, that he might be the best in the world.
I agree with you. I think a reason why he's been quiet, one, is because he pretty much got kicked out of American Top Team.
Well, he got embarrassed.
Yeah,
last time he ran out of the cage.
Yeah. And so he got kicked out of American Top Team because him, Dustin Poirier, Masvidal, they said it was too much trying to have different times. They coming in different doors. They said it was too much. So he moved on. I can't remember the gym he's fighting out of now. Their American Top Team's one of their big competitors, supposedly. I heard about on a podcast. But I really do think that's why he is not talking. I believe that he...
Has he just been in the gym grinding?
I think he's been in the gym grinding, and I think he might know something we don't. Like, did Woodley get the best of you a little bit in training? Or, is that why you're dialing down right now? That's what we're going to find out. We're going to find out that Cody TJ, they both say, Colby's like, oh, Tyron quit on me in training when we would spar. He would quit, and like 2 rounds to go, he would quit and say he was tired. And then Tyron's saying he's got videos. Yeah. So how's that going to go? Cody had a video, and then it was TJ was like TJ was better. So is the veteran going to be better?
If Colby is truly just focused on training and grinding, he is right there with Usman.
Yeah.
Which we need to see Burns against Usman, because Burns might be the best in the world.
Burns is good.
It's one of those three. It is one of those three.
He's big for that division too. Yeah.
It's either Colby and Usman, and then Burns is right under, or Burns is above them.
Yeah.
And so we just have to, and we'll know that one.
That's what's crazy is we have all these like teammates. Oh, and let me add this too. Did you see who was in Tyron Woodley's training camp?
Oh, it's Masvidal.
Yeah.
Masvidal. Yeah.
So
they had a fun video where they were talking about like rumors going around, and just so you know, it's true. And I don't know what that means, but I loved it.
So I feel like there's cons and pros. Like the pros of Masvidal training with Woodley is Masvidal and Colby were pretty recent teammates, so he might know some stuff. Of recent within the past, year and a half or so. But then again, like you're having a striker train you we seen what just happened to Masvidal from Usman. You're going to get probably that same fight with Colby. Colby, just based on what happened to Woodley against Burns and Usman, Colby's not going to stand there and strike like he did with Usman. He's going to do that dirty boxing, clinch, elbows, try to take him down a little bit too, but
I just have a hard time thinking it's going to go from what we've seen from Woodley the last 10 rounds he's fought to be ready to just go deep into the depths of the struggle to go 5 rounds with Colby.
Now, he's promised in some videos that
I don't think Colby will finish him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a big difference.
That's a thing that fighters have said. They're like, Colby is, he throws a lot of strikes and stuff, but it's volume. It's more volume.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it would wear on you over time.
It's really a great strategy because it never lets you get into a rhythm. It keeps you on the defensive. It keeps you moving because you're always dodging punches and you never are able to get your own offense off. It's like a triple option offense in college football.
Yeah.
What Army and Navy does. You get the ball fewer times because they hold on to the ball so long when they're being successful. They're beating you 3-4 yards at a time. I watched the Army game last weekend, and they got the football with 8.5 minutes left in the second quarter. And I looked at my wife and I said, this other team is not going to get the football until the third quarter.
Yeah.
And they did. No, it was the second quarter. I was like, it will be in the second quarter by the time they got the football.
Yeah.
Army was getting in the red zone when the second quarter started. It took like 10 minutes for them to score a touchdown, which is just taking away time from the other team. And that's essentially what Colby's doing.
That is true. That's a good.
It's ball control.
Comparison.
Yeah. It's the best defense is a good offense,
and
because if that offense can control the time and keep the other offense at bay.
Yeah.
Never even give the offense another time to get on the field.
And I've said this before, like, I don't like his character, but his fight against Usman made me have so much respect for him as a fighter. Like,
now,
you have to.
When you say character, do you mean like a heel, like in wrestling, or like his personal character? Because
I don't know. That's the
we don't know what his personal character is, like his morals. We just know this, whatever this heel is.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's a character, or if it's personal, but I don't know.
I mean, it's because no one knew who he was until he fought in Brazil, and they had to calling them dirty animals or whatever he called them. So I don't know.
Yeah. But definitely, I'm looking forward to that fight. That is going to be September 29th. Before we end the podcast.
No, it's 19th.
September 19th.
It's next weekend.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I had 9 stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So, final decision on a winner before we end out the podcast right here. Woodley or Covington?
I'm going to have to go with Covington.
Okay.
But, I mean, that can change very fast if Woodley looks like him old self.
Yeah. Now, he did say on one of his videos that he understands his back against the wall, and he's promising fans that he's going to throw hands, even if it means him taking some shots. Which that's what we've kind of wanted, because to throw shots, you're going to be opening yourself up a little bit, and it seems like he's kind of swayed away from that a little bit, especially when Burns hit him with that, put him down with one of those strikes. He didn't like that.
Even if he is his own self, that's still a really tough fight.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Colby.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thanks for co-hosting with me today, Ethan. I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed this podcast. A lot of good discussion right here. But thanks, guys. We'll definitely get out and definitely be ready to watch Woodley versus Colby. We might have another podcast before then, but if we don't, definitely watch that fight. Thanks, guys.